mean, people speculate and people romanticize Bo and they romanticize Tupac. You've heard both of them you've heard Tupac be called the greatest rapper ever. You heard people say Tupac would have been a revolutionary. He would have been leading the movement if he hadn't been snuffed out. We know, me personally, I think he was a better actor than he was rapper. But that's just me.
A lot of people believe his hip hop career was him also being.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Being an actor. Yeah. Because people.
Ladies, for all of your comfort and around the house wear, lingerie, comfy clothes, make sure you visit quickvisits.com. That's QUIKVISITS.com. For all of your lounge wear, lingerie wear, sport wear, workout wear, athletic wear, make sure you go to quickvisits.com. They'll be there for you, and you'll love that I tell you. Hello and welcome everyone to the latest edition of No Jazz, which stands for Not Just Another Sports Show. Again, I am your host, KD, and I have my partner with me to my left, the one and only Pittsburgh Steelers fan, number one, Tank. Tank, tell the people hello.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Glad to have y'all back here with us on No Jazz. Let's get to it, baby.
Let's get to it. And before we get to it, we want to make sure we invite everyone to YouTube for No Jazz and subscribe to us, share, comment on No Jazz Show. Go find us at No Jazz Show on TikTok, where a lot of people have been finding us and giving us the views. Thank you for that. Also on Facebook. A lot of engagement has been going down on Facebook as far as the views are concerned during this sports season at No Jazz Show. And then, of course, Instagram, noj.a.s.s, with us, and Twitter, of course, at No Jazz Show. And don't forget our sponsors as you see them throughout the video. Now, I just kind of want to point something out right fast due to Brad Pitt's new movie coming out, along with my main man from Snowfall. I don't want to get his name. I don't want to mess up my boy's name. I shouldn't be doing that. I shouldn't be doing that. Damson Idris. I knew he wasn't Idris Elba, but I knew he had Idris. Damson
Idris in it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just wanted to point out something. Like I've been wearing the Race of Champions cart hat long before the movie came out. But I'm giving this little promotion before it comes out. But I want everyone to know that I have been a kart fan since way back. So, and I don't want to give out Tank's whereabouts, but he is also in a city, that has a fantastic kart race as well. And you can find him in Vegas. So we just want to just let you know that I have been a fan of this since its origins. This is not just black culture. Oh, you want to jump on it because the black person in the movie? Oh, no, we don't do that. We don't do that. We don't do that. And I'm also I am, and I don't want to get into that. I want to get into sports first, but I am also an advocate. God rest his soul. For what my main man, Black Panther.
Man, if you wouldn't have said, I could.
I know, right?
I could.
Hold on, Chadwick Boseman.
Yes.
I'm a fan. But as a Marvel fan first, these characters can be replaced.
Exactly, and they have been.
We must not get on that. It sounds like a hit refresh moment. If you really want to go back to, because a lot of people who just jumped on Black Panther are some way somehow forgetting Wesley Snipes started all of this. All of it.
Yeah.
The black and white. So we're not gonna get into that. I just want to point out that if Damson Idris does well in this role and it's impactful enough for them to say, let's take this Gosling multiverse character and bring him back into Damson Idris as a child, and he'll be the next Black Panther. That's totally fine. You all have to kind of get off.
Yeah.
These characters don't sit for certain actors as you all try to believe. It doesn't go that way. But we'll save that for a refresh moment later on.
Okay. And also, just wanted to say, in essence, what KD is saying regarding the racing, he's saying he's true to this. He's not new to this.
I'm true to this. We pushed those pedals, and a lot of y'all thought those carts were big. These are little go-karts.
Yeah.
souped up, But just like the man says in the movie, if you ever want to be, and this has nothing against the Daytona 500 and stock car racing, but if you ever want to be known as the number one racer, win at Formula One. Now, speaking of winning, I want to jump right into this because
Okay.
he referenced this as a NBA culture thing, and I just wanted to be known as an American culture thing. As we know, earlier in this week, LeBron pointed out that when did ring culture become so important in NBA culture? And I just wanted to present my case, and I wanted to present Tank to feed in on this because I don't want to make it about the NBA, even though the NBA is out right now. I wanted it to be known that this is American culture. Ring culture, and let's be real. Championship culture. Championship culture is an American culture. If championships didn't matter, all of you guys who have these great, and we're not diminishing your careers if you didn't win a championship. But what I'm saying is, all of you guys, if championships did not matter, professional sports would not, in stock car racing, we wouldn't calculate each race to see who wins the overall championship. We'll just let you win your race. Say you won 3, man. You did great. They wouldn't have tournaments. If you had a great regular season and you felt like your career would be fine with just your regular season, opt out of the tournament. Don't play. If it wasn't important, don't play in it. We will have a regular season MVP known as the NFL. We'll have a regular season MVP known as the Barry Sanders Award. Mm-hmm. Then we'll have a playoff MVP for those who opt in, who want more. And we'll call it the Emmitt Smith Award. And I'm using that to separate the butter from the duck.
Right.
Tank is wearing a Pittsburgh Steelers jersey. I don't know if you see it. But a lot of those guys, Lynn Swann being one, Terry Bradshaw being another. You look at their regular season numbers, they're not legendary. They're not necessarily pedestrian, but they played a team game that wouldn't make their numbers. Now, John Stallworth, he has the legendary individual efforts as a team. Lynn Swann, I wouldn't put him up there, and it would be hard pressed to place him against a lot of the top 15, top 25, top 30s. However, they become legendary in the playoffs and the championship games. This LeBron, this did not just come out of nowhere. When all eyes are on you and the focus is on you, and the Middle America who just likes their team, and the South who just likes their team, when we break it down into 8 teams and then it breaks down into 4 teams and then into 2, that's when you show up. And that is when legends become legends in playoffs and championships. Now, that's not saying you can't be legendary, because I want to cross over into this too. Ken Griffey Jr., Barry Bonds, Ernie Gibson. There are a lot of Major League Baseball players that didn't get championship rings. That doesn't take away from their legend. However, let's not act like the legend of the Mickey Mantles, or the Willie Stargells, the Reggie Jackson.
Dave Winfield.
The Dave Winfields, the Roger Clemens, all the Boston players who finally won after Boston wasn't winning. Let's not act like those legends don't separate. Let's T-Mac insinuated, if I was playing with Shaq, I would have a championship too. How do we know that? We know Kobe's legend was how infatuated and enamored and focused he was on the game. How do we know that's not the separation that separates, as I said on another post, the butter from the duck? How do we know? There's something that needs to be said about players whose talents translate into team championship.
Yes.
Wins. You shouldn't be trying to uplift another by diminishing another, by saying we're diminishing those who didn't win championships by making this ring culture. It's American culture.
Right.
Go ahead, Tank. I'm sorry. I just,
What it all boils down to is we're talking about winning and losing. You look at the team that wins the Super Bowl is heralded. The team that loses the Super Bowl is the second most successful team for that season. You know what they're looked at? As losers. No one says, man, they were great. They made it all the way there. Everyone, you lose, especially if you get blown out. What do they say? Man, they sorry. They should never even been there. People don't look at the Buffalo Bills generally and say, man, that's one of the greatest teams ever. They look at it as 4-time losers. John Elway was considered a very good quarterback, but he wasn't great. He wasn't esteemed the way he is now after those 3 Super Bowl losses, 3 blowouts. But 2 back-to-back championships to go out, he's elevated as, some would say a top 5 quarterback. Nobody talks about nobody talks about Charles Barkley as, man, he's probably top 5 to ever play the game. Not saying that wasn't a great player, but he got the same number I got.
He loses the possibility of that hyperbole.
Yes.
Without the championships, where someone like Terrell Davis gets the hyperbole on a short career.
Exactly.
Because of the 2000 and a back-to-back championship. Who remembers who came in second place in the 1984 and the 1988 100 meters? Who remembers who came in second place when Usain Bolt went back-to-back? Who remembers the silver guy?
Nobody. No, because the first, what I've always said, and it's true, but at the same time, it's part of the culture of sports and American culture in general. You got winners and you got losers. If you and I are racing, if there's 10 of us racing and I come in second place, I'm the first loser.
Period.
And
the first loser almost first forgotten unless I come back.
Right. There's no heavyweight boxer who's gone down in history because he almost won the belt.
We remember Buster Douglas
because he won it first. We don't remember him because he lost the Holyfield.
We don't remember because he lost the Holyfield. We remember because he shockingly knocked out Mike Tyson. LeBron, this is American culture. This has nothing to do with NBA ring culture, how you feel about not reaching 6 in your career, whatever the case may be, and everyone that's going to focus in on that microscope of LeBron saying it, and we know it's an MJ thing. No, Michael Jordan, what's his name? Isaiah Thomas has a video. Isaiah Thomas has a video where he says Michael Jordan dominated the 90s, he didn't dominate the 80s. What? Michael Jordan dominated the 80s as a player. From 84 to 1991, look at his numbers. He will go to the Hall of Fame if he stopped right there, no championship. Numerically, he had enough awards to go to the Hall of Fame from 1984 to 1991 prior to winning the championship. When Isaiah Thomas is saying what he said, he is referencing Mike's
championships
lack of domination to not having a championship. So he's using it as a criteria to diminish Mike's career prior to winning the championship.
Right. Because otherwise Jordan would be that's in the same boat as Marino. Man, he's one of the greatest to ever not win a championship.
Come on.
You have, if the championship culture, if it didn't matter, we wouldn't be keeping score.
We wouldn't keep score.
You wouldn't be having championships. We'd just be out just having fun.
Back to back would not be a moniker. 3-peat would not be a moniker. Dr. J won an ABA championship. It wiped away when he got to the NBA. Him and Moses understood our numbers are great enough to be great if we retire without a championship. But when they lost to the Lakers, they knew they had to get back in 82.
Yeah.
They knew this is going to take us from being great to gods in this sport. Just one. We've done enough. Wilt would have been great. Wilt and Jerry West, they needed to go. They needed
the championship.
Elgin Baylor, they needed it. You don't want to make it an amount thing because that's you personally. That's you personally.
Yeah, I think it's a thing of him being a little irritated, or it's getting to him when people talk about his record in championship games, his playoff record, his record in championship games. It's like, okay, he's got 4 rings, but you've been there 10 times, and it's like you look at if you're 4 and 6 in championships, you got 4 championships, but when you look at it, you're a loser in the championship. You're not even at 500, and so the way you have to win. There's a reason why Trent Dilfer's name, Brad Johnson's name would still come up, not because they were great quarterbacks, but because they did happen to get a ring. They got something that Marino can't claim.
Matthew
They got
Stafford.
something that Dan Fouts can't claim.
Matthew Stafford took his name out of that realm. Great
Yeah.
quarterback, but could have ended up being easily my main man in San Diego.
He could have been Phillip Rivers.
Could have been Phillip Rivers, and Phillip, and that's another thing that I pointed out. No one is trying. You're comparing yourself to the greats.
Right.
We don't even get to that point. We don't even get to that point until you start like Tom Brady. Going back to your LeBron point. Is Tom Brady 7 of 11?
Yeah, 7 of 11.
You're over 500.
Mm-hmm.
And he also has I have 7, even though it's NFL, NBA, I have 7. Jordan has 6. So you start recreating the narrative for yourself when you get up to those numbers. And I don't think LeBron would have even been saying that if he would have been 6 out of 10.
I'm sorry, he's 6 of 9. 6 of 9.
6 of 9. Okay. If he would have been 6 of 9, per se, he has 11 championships. Mm-hmm. That's a lot. I'm getting up there in the Bill Russell era. But my point is, Bill Russell did the same thing. He stayed over 500 when you go to that big dance, and that's not negating the fact that you make it because it's so hard to make it. But the point I'm trying to get at is this: we're not gauging you against the all-time greats until you start showing those aspects and those accolades to get in those all-time great conversations. Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady doesn't enter into the realm of Joe Montana and Terry Bradshaw until they start getting 2 and 3. Mm-hmm. That's when we start doing that.
Yeah.
But what we do first is we say Big Ben, Phillip Rivers, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. What did you all do as peers? This is where we start changing the game. Dan Marino did all he did, and he gets accolades, passes due to his numbers and the things he did in the regular season. It was Dan Marino still did better than what it was, John Elway,
Dan Fouts, John Elway.
What was my man that was picked by the Jets?
Ken O'Brien.
What did you do with them first? That's first and foremost.
Correct.
That's first and foremost. Barry and Emmett will always be together because that's the 1989 draft and the 1990 draft. We're going to put you right there. There's some others in there, too, that didn't even make it in that fold. Blair Thomas and all of that. What you did against your peers is always first
always going to be first. Yes. You got to dominate against your peers first before you can move to that next level. And something else, again, to emphasize and to show how important championships and winning is, not in America.
In America,
I'm not worried about other places, but in America, not just in sports, but in business. Each business is trying to be number one. We're trying to be the number one podcast.
Absolutely.
You've got people in every aspect of life. They're trying to be the top real estate agent at their firm. They're trying to be the top real estate agent in the country. You got attorneys who are trying to be top earning, top grossing, and winning its attorneys. It's about winning. I mean, it's competition. It's about winning. And something that's always stood out to me when you talk about, if you take it right just back to sports in America. I mean, I was reading this interview and it was Don Shula, and he said he was at lunch with Chuck Noll, Bill Walsh, Joe Gibbs, and Walsh, Gibbs, Noll, and Shula. He said Walsh has 3 rings. Noll has 4 rings. Gibbs had 2 rings at the time.
At the time, probably.
And he said, I was the only loser in the bunch.
The only one was
because he had 2, but he lost 3.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
He's like, I was the only loser because the rest of them had winning records, had multiple rings and a winning record in Super Bowls. Shula, winningest coach ever, but was 3-2 in Super Bowls. He said, I was the only loser in the bunch. And that tells you a lot about how we look at winning in America.
Just
yeah.
Championship, exactly.
Yeah. So, LeBron, you need to get over it.
You got to get over it. Imagine the Dallas Cowboys in the 70s when they lost to Miami, and then it was considered an upset when they came back and finally broke into the winning area by beating Miami. Like this is the game that kept Don Shula from being tied with Joe Gibbs at that dinner table.
Think about it. Dallas in the 70s was 2-3 in Super
2 and
Bowl.
3 in Super Bowls. 2 and 3.
I mean, it's
We don't remember
LeBron. It's about winning.
that now because you have to. This is American culture. Going back to what he said at the job, there are plenty of parking spaces in that parking lot. Plenty. But there's something about parking in that employee of the month parking space for that 1 month.
Exactly.
This is American culture. The NBA arguing MJ over LeBron did not do this. We do not diminish anyone that does a great job. But American culture, and like I said in another point, hockey doesn't even play that game. Hockey has, I looked at their situation, they have like 5, 6 guys with numbers. But when they have their greatest conversations, when
they're not talked about.
They don't even talk about them. Our greatest guys, they got Stanley Cups. They're the only ones in the conversation because our guys have the Stanley Cups and the numbers to go with the argument. If every sport did that, do you know how many people would be left out?
A whole lot.
A whole lot.
I mean, you remember Dan and Dave, the Olympics in the 90s?
Thank you.
Great height, this, that, and other.
Yeah.
Didn't win nothing. This might be the first time they've been brought up in 20 years because they didn't win. It's about winning.
And all they needed to do, and this is American culture, because let me tell you something. All they needed to do was win one goal, and they would have been talked about and been put on a pedestal like Bruce Jenner for life. Mm-hmm. For life. That's it. It's not NBA culture. It's American culture. Moving on. NBA Finals have done something. And I brought this up because we talked about it before. Shout out. Pat yourself on the back. Pat yourself on the back, Tank. Pat yourself on the back, and I'm going to pat myself on the back. Because this is why you need to watch No Jazz Show. And probably we need to get into sports betting because we're very clairvoyant and we speak on these things. The Oklahoma City Thunder and the Indiana Pacers will be facing off in a Game 7 on Sunday. And I just want to point out that this is the game Tank may watch because it's in his wheelhouse. Tank doesn't feel, and Tank is not alone in his feelings, as far because it just depends on the sport. Tank is more a fan of the college tournament where it pertains to basketball. You play the one game, that's the championship. This is the NBA's equivalent to that now, and now Tank can be engaged in it because it matters. Like everything matters.
Yeah, everything's on the line.
Everything on the line. I engage in the tournament because I like this. In the series because I like the chess match. I like to see game 1 go to game 2, game 3 go to game 4. Who's turning over this? Who's figured out that? I like that aspect of it. Same with baseball. Nevertheless, we about 3 or 4 shows ago spoke on what would make the NBA better. And this finals was supposed to be, in a lot of people's minds, a sweep because of OKC's record, SGA being the MVP, SGA being the Western Conference MVP. It just looked like a dominant situation. However, Rick Carlisle and his cast have played some very great basketball, and they pushed this to a Game 7. This is what we want. We want everything's on the line. We want, I don't care if your wrist is hurting. I don't care if your calf is hurting. I don't care if you got poked in the eye. I might be Game 7s, and I hate to be like this because I want everybody to be fathers and parents first. But Game 7s are when you're about to have a child and your wife goes into labor on Game 7 or Super Bowl. And your wife knows our lifestyle is this. And she says, we'll have another one, baby, but you might not have another Game 7. You might not have another Super Bowl. This is everybody. See, Game 4, and I'm down 2-1. I can miss that game. Mm-hmm. Maybe not a Super Bowl. It's that level of atmosphere going on tomorrow.
It's the finality of it.
It's the finality. It's also the finality of a lot of seasonal sports for a lot of people before we get into training camp. But go ahead and you just speak on it if you would like. But go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's great because like I said, I like you get one shot at this, and that I don't care for series in sports because people lay back, we're not gonna go all out in this game, or man, we down 2-1. Well, all we gotta do is win one more game, then it's tied again. okay, well, we're gonna rest people. We're gonna do this. I mean, there's other strategies involved, so it's not just boom. But I just like the fact that when you go out there, like in boxing, football, track, you got to be at your best and win that particular time. Otherwise, sorry, you got to wait next time. You got to wait till next year to try to do it. So a game 7 kind of puts it in that puts it like that. Like, okay, we did all of this. Now tonight is balls to the walls. Let it all hang out. There's no tomorrow. We got to go all out. If you hurt, suck it up, tape it up, shoot it up, do whatever you got to do, and get out there and play. There's no contingency plan. There's no, well, if we don't pull it out, we still got another game in two more days. So I think a game 7 in whatever sport that has a series, when it's tied, that's when it actually becomes really exciting, because otherwise you already know it. Well, we can wait till tomorrow, or we can wait. We got another game in 2 days. We'll get back at them. I'm gonna go ahead and pull these guys because we're not gonna come back right now anyway. There's none of that. Tomorrow night, you should see maximum effort from every single player, because they know that's it. There's no more games left to play. You gotta what, 8 months before you get a shot at it again. And it's not going to be the same team, same situation as it was this year. So you got to make it count. So, like I said, I can get more vested in a win it all cause tonight. I mean, tomorrow night, as opposed to we got another shot later.
And let's be clear, because it kind of goes back to the point of championships matter. And I'm not gonna get on that, but Indiana, the chips fell exactly, and this not to diminish their run. They won those games in those series, but people are gonna look back and say, hey, the Celtics were hurt, the Cavs were hurt. The Cavs and the Celtics and Orlando, who's going to add some pieces in the East, and Philadelphia is going to try to add their pieces. They're hearing that noise. Oh, we were hurt. Meaning, if we weren't hurt, it wouldn't be Indiana.
Well, it wouldn't be that way, right?
Even though Indiana was in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. The truth of the matter is, Indiana also might hear that noise and say 2 of 3 things. We are supposed to be here. They're saying we're not. Let's show them that we are and get this W. Indiana also has the right to say, in a lot of people's minds, we pushed this to game 7. We pushed it to game 6 further than anyone, and go out and play the whole Dak Prescott moral victory approach and say we've won within ourselves. But the man and the champion in the man, who understands that this might be a one-shot, one deal, and no one knows that they're going to get back, even though you're young, may say, let's capitalize on this today. OKC on the other side. The West is deep. You all had the best record. You all might use this win to self-proclaim yourself and hypnotize yourself into believing you can go on a three-peat and put fear in the rest of the West mind, because the rest of the West actually can dominate and alleviate you from here on out. You all have all eyes on you, meaning you play as a team now, but guess what happens to championship teams? People start trying to break it apart. People start trying to go get your coaches. They start trying to go free agency. Your players who play good in these championships start believing that they are
better than what they are.
And then they go to other teams and get their money for their career. One shot, one deal. All of these things are now, and you have to take advantage of it. Now, I just wanted to say that as far as Game 7 and staying in the NBA, and then we're gonna get off the NBA. I just kind of want to point out. I don't want to kind of point out. It's just the truth. The Los Angeles Lakers, the Jerry Buss kingdom, even though Jenny Buss is still running and operating the team, has sold the Lakers for $10.1 billion. That's a lot of money, boy.
Yeah, like Jada Pinkett's character said and set it off. Frankie, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. $10 billion to the Mark Walter Group, the same group that owns the Los Angeles Dodgers. And baseball money is different from basketball money, because baseball money doesn't have a cap on it to a degree, and you can dig in your pockets and go get who you want to. Basketball, you kind of have to sell your franchise.
Yeah.
To do that. However, a lot of people, we got to point, and this is why I bring this up. It's not about the sale as much as it is who Mark Walter works with, and I think this is like the best move ever. LeBron came in and he kind of put my man on the outs until, because he was family. He was like family to Jenny. He was like family to Dr. Buss. and he put him in a situation where he said, you know what, let me just go on over here. And so this man went over here and started concentrating on his businesses in the Dodgers and ended up with a World Series. And now Magic Johnson is back in the fold with the Lakers through his friend and business partner and stake ownership, Mr. Mark Walter. So I just want to give a shout out to Magic. That was that whole thing. I just want to give a shout out to Magic.
Magic is gonna make his money one way or the other. Yeah. Magic is gonna always make his money.
Magic always make his money. I actually want to bring up that hocus pocus move because boy, and I'm gonna
hocus pocus. I see what you did there.
Oh yeah. You see, no. Magic, I see what you did there.
$10 billion, the most paid for an American franchise in any sport.
And you know they were like their valuation was 7.6. So I kind of looked at those valuations when I saw that, and I said 7.6 valuation is selling for 10. And I think the Yankees, Golden State Warriors, and Cowboys were above them. Mm-hmm. The Lakers were down near the Patriots, I believe, somewhere around there. Patriots and the Rams. And I saw the Cowboys had a valuation of like 10.3 valuation. Now Jerry may never sell, but
he won't hit.
Jerry come off them for about 11 million. I mean not 11 million, but 15 million. Billions.
Yeah. I don't think Jerry would ever sell unless he was on his deathbed and was like, okay, I can make one last splash before I go out.
But he has groomed. Jerry has a situation going on in Jerry's world with the Dallas Cowboys where he's had them long enough and he's groomed them in the royalty of it. Like they're not gonna sell. They ain't gonna sell a Big Mama house.
Yeah,
they wouldn't do it. Down the line, some granddaughter that is like so beyond it. Because it's kind of like the royal family. He has a son who's not going to, by the time Jerry, leaves this earth, he's not going to have the Cowboys too long himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of like that King George over there. It's like my mama done sat here so long. By the time I get the reins,
it'll just be passing through my hands at the same time.
Through my hands at the same time. So but he's built the family to where they're going to linger and hold that Rooney style for a long, long time. Switching gears. Well, not switching gears because I kind of segued into the NFL to talk about the NFL, and we want to speak on Cincinnati's rookie Holdout. Or is he still holding out?
He's still holding out.
Is it Shamar Stewart?
Yep.
What do you think about what's going on in that camp in Cincinnati? Because I'm gonna let you speak on this. I'm a Kanye. Hold on. I'm gonna let you speak on this. But let me tell you what I really believe. This just me. Hey man, they making a lot of news over there in Cleveland up the road. We're in Ohio too. We need to get some news over here too. Let's use our rookie. Get some news. Go ahead, Tank. That's just how I feel.
There's a reason why the Cincinnati Bengals are known as the Cincinnati Bengals. They're gonna bingle and bungle whenever. I mean, you pick this guy in the first round, 17th overall pick, and he's a defensive end. So that means you got him because first of all, because your defense last year was trash. Secondly, you got him because you need to be able to put some more heat on the quarterback because you're not paying Trey Hendrickson, the sack leader last year, and the guy who's got 34 sacks the past 2 years, and the guy who's definitely outperformed his contract. You don't want to pay him. So now you get another guy who, stat-wise, 4.5 sacks in 3 years as a DN at Texas A&M. That's not a pass rusher, okay? But apparently maybe you having buyer's remorse said, hey, this dude really didn't get after the quarterback the way you would expect a first-round pick, a DN who's a first-round pick would do. They paid all this money to Burrow, which they should have. They paid Chase, and they paid T. Higgins.
Right.
Your defense was garbage last year with the leading sacker pass rusher in the NFL last year. He's asking for a raise, which you are to give him and not use his age against him because he's been on a tear the past 5 years. Now you got this guy, you're telling him, look, we want to sign you. We're going to pay you the money. But if you don't make it through your first contract, if we cut you because you're not living up to our expectations, we don't want to have to pay you the rest of your guaranteed money. in what multiverse am I going to sign a contract that says here's your guaranteed money, but it's not guaranteed?
where
Why would I sign that?
that? Yeah.
You want no other rookie is doing that. No other team is telling a guy, hey, if you don't make it through your rookie contract, we're gonna take away your guaranteed money. I wouldn't sign it either. Now he's got an option of holding out the rest of the year and entering the draft again next year. He could do that. He could petition the NCAA to go back and play another year, but I don't think it's going to get to that point. I mean, Cincinnati. I mean, who knows? It could, but I doubt it. But there is one guy who sat out a complete year when he was draft eligible, and then came back and he's torn the league up, and that's Jamar Chase. So,
Didn't
hey, maybe this.
Claret sit out a year too?
Yeah, but yeah, he didn't, and he did bupkis. He didn't even make the squad. Yeah.
He hadn't. Yeah, he hadn't lived
Yeah,
up to.
Mike Williams did, and he didn't do anything
Yeah.
either. So I don't. He can spend if he does hold out this entire year and re-enters the draft. Hopefully, he will spend that year working out and staying in shape and doing because football is one of those sports you don't get better by not doing it.
Yeah.
So he's gonna need to be active. He's gonna need to be doing it, but it Cincinnati just it's stupid. Are you having buyer's remorse? Go ahead, sign this guy to the standard contract, the standard language, and don't be trying to switch stuff up. I mean, I don't want to get political, but you're doing like a certain red party that we have in American politics who tells you, hey, this is what we're doing. But then when you read the fine print, wait a minute, they doing all this? Why they didn't tell us about this? And next thing you know, we all suffering. Cincinnati, don't do this. Go ahead and sign them. You had the worst defense in the league last year. The worst. You're not going to get better by letting your first round draft pick miss training camp, maybe miss the whole season. If he holds out the entire season, you wasted a whole freaking first round draft pick. Now he's back in the draft. Now he's playing with somebody else. And heaven forbid he gets drafted by somebody else in the division and wreaks havoc on you for the next 10 years.
And
I mean,
that's the thing too, because now if I was Mr. Stewart's agent, I'm looking at the front door. Shout out to the main source, because if this is how you're gonna do me, I have to now say in 3 years this just might be who you are. As an organization, you might be the organization that is indeed more offensive minded with your deals. Because you did not prioritize Chase or Higgins to a degree. You didn't prioritize. You made him play it out. Ted probably should have been signed prior to his great years, before the injury. But Burrow is your guy. He's the one that didn't have trouble. So I got to look at that franchise and say, you all aren't. Everybody has their structuring situation, because I believe the same situation, if these guys had a star on their helmet, it would be looked at even more polarizing. And because everybody goes through it, but you're Cincinnati, so I have to look at you differently, because you don't even give me the option to say I'm playing in a city where I have to seek out all of my money. I'm playing in a market where I have to seek out all of my money, because I am not being seen to the degree to get endorsement deals that will leverage what you don't want to pay me, that will allow me to want to just kind of be here and win with this team. So I have to kind of look at this a little different. Pay attention, Shador. Pay attention, Dylan Gabriel. Pay attention, Miles. This is what happens in these smaller markets that have not won anything. I'm saying, like, everybody ain't Pittsburgh. We can't sit on legacy. But go ahead. What were you about to say?
You mentioned endorsement deals. When's the last time you remember seeing a Cincinnati Bengal with a national endorsement deal? I'm thinking, and I can't think of anybody but Icky. I mean, even Burrow doesn't have one.
He literally had to dance. No, because let me tell you, I'm thinking Icky, because I believe Chad Johnson and Chad Ochocinco understood the market they were in. That's why they were doing all those antics to create a name. I think a lot of times Pac-Man Jones himself was acting out to bring.
I'm in a place that doesn't win. Bad weather.
So these are the things that happen in Cincinnati, and you have to be mindful of that when you play them. I mean, when you play for them.
Yeah, but I mean, I still don't understand. I understand, hey, you're trying to keep as much money as possible. You might be saying you were trying to protect yourself, but why would you draft the guy in the 17th overall pick and then try to give him some BS in his contract that nobody else has, no other first round pick has? Why would you? I mean, it makes no sense. Guaranteed money is exactly
Running
that.
back. You really want
Yeah,
a running back? I mean, like. I believe they're now showing us to a degree when they were in that war room. We know this is the guy that we should get, but this is not the guy we want. They probably got in that situation, and they were like Congress. Since you want to bring up, politics, they probably had a 51-49 split. That is not. That's a majority, and that's how you win. There's a lot of argument on each side. And a lot of people just said, I'm tired of arguing, and it became the 51% or became the 49%. So then going back to the Bengals. The Bengals are the only franchise in the NFC North that does not have a characteristic that is marketable. Meaning Baltimore was once Cleveland, and they rebranded themselves as winners in Maryland. You know, with the Ray Lewises and Ed Reeds of the world. They rebranded themselves. And now Lamar and all of them, they kind of just keeping the brand up a little bit. Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh. Cleveland still gets a brand in the NFC North. It's just being losers. Like, they cool with that.
yeah, yeah. They're the lovable losers.
Yeah, like that's the marketability of them losing works for them too. So, and don't get me wrong, you got the historian's legacy, the Jim Brown and the whole Paul Brown thing that helps them too. But Cincinnati is still probably known more for the Reds and WKRP than the Bengals.
And it's incredible when you look at the Bengals since the 80s and say, man, they have actually made it to 3 Super Bowls.
They have made it to 3 Super Bowls
and it's like, how?
3 different decades.
And their legacy is losing. I mean, that's Cincinnati. Their legacy is losing. I mean,
go back. The championships matter.
They matter.
If they beat Joe Montana, that changes their outlook. If Ken Anderson beats Joe Montana and the 49ers, that probably changed their whole perspective. The next one was
if Boomer beats Montana.
Beats Montana. If Joe can figure out Joe had the Rams, right?
He had the Rams.
Come on, man. Look at what second place does to you. But go ahead.
Yeah, if I was the agent if I would look at Stewart's market on draftability or where he might go if he enters the draft next year. I would tell him, hey, if you're dead set against signing this with this kind of language, which I don't have a problem with you being against it, this is what we can do. We can go back into the draft.
We got to look
and you will probably you end up being drafted in the first round next year, because it makes no sense to tell a guy, hey, we're going to give you a different language than anybody else in the first round. We're going to give you different language than anybody's contract, period. And that contract, that language, not only could it possibly bite Stewart in the butt, it could set a precedence and bite a whole bunch of future players in the butt.
Bite a whole bunch of them in the butt. Absolutely. Now, moving on to the NIL, we have South Carolina Gamecocks. This is something we want to bring up because NIL is a very rushed dynamic. Nevertheless, Lenore Sellers reportedly turned down an $8 million deal, and it really wasn't. It was his father being old school. We came to go to school, turned down an $8 million NIL deal to leave. Was he at South Carolina and turned down someone coming?
He had the opportunity now to go to another school and get $8 million.
And his father suggested, no, we're here to go to school. Yeah. We're here to get an education. The money will be there. And my perspective on this is Pops, shout out to being a good father, because we know there are some households where as soon as you hear the word $1 million, everybody tend to get sick. Everybody tend to be behind on bills. Everybody tend to be and I can remember a quote from, I forgot what father it was, but he was like, son, go back to school. I'm handling these bills. We haven't had that for the 3 years you've been in college before you got 2 years you've been in college or 3 years you've been here before you had the opportunity to leave early. So go ahead and get your 4th year in. And I like that level of stability. And then the other side of that is the guarantee of $8 million. Just to kind of help your household. However, I do believe there was some other negotiations that say, hey, we getting 8 million over here. We may offer 8 million over here. We're not asking you to do that. We're gonna stay loyal to you, but I'm gonna need at least 4. See, I think
Yeah.
I don't think we hear that part in the news, but I'm just saying, what do you? And I know you had some insightful words on this situation and how you felt about it.
Yeah, I know his evaluation is 3.7 million. The thing that we haven't heard is we've heard about, hey, he's turned down 8 million to go and play at another school, but we haven't heard what's he being paid at South Carolina. He might be getting paid 6. He might be getting paid 7.
Right. This is
So
new.
hey, it might be $1 million difference. Hey, it ain't no big deal. Easy for me to say because I ain't, but he might say, hey, it's only $1 million more. Or maybe going to that school that's offering that 8 million could have been like the old boy from Tennessee who went and now paying all those taxes and everything in California and now making less money than he's making now.
Not
Yeah.
not having the financial literacy to understand,
Yeah.
this works.
Yeah, so that 8 million, if he goes to school in Cali or he goes to school in Illinois or he goes to school in New York, that 8 million now it's 4 million, and where he is now, he's already been getting 6 or 7. I don't know what he's getting or if he's getting anything. And I can appreciate what his father told me. His father gave him that advice, and he also said, "Hey, it's your decision to make that decision." But this is my 2 cents. Me personally, depending on what school he's going to, he is offering that. Hey, if you go there, or you're gonna be starting because he started this past year and he's a returning starter.
Absolutely.
Are you gonna go there? Are you guaranteed to be the starter, or is there someone there that you got to legitimately beat out to get to get on the field? Because if you do have to beat somebody out, not that I don't believe in you, not that you can't do it, but is it really going to be worth it leaving a stable situation where they're taking care of you to go somewhere else where you don't know anything? You got to get reacclimated to every single thing. Who knows that you get there, the OC starts calling stuff that goes against what you do best, and now you just a guy who was on the okay, you're getting some money, but now after a year you miserable because you hadn't gotten on the field or you hadn't produced anything. So now you trying to transfer. Now you in the portal to go somewhere else, and you're not getting that 8 million that you left for because you're transferring to Portland State where they're giving you free room and board and $1,000 a month. So I mean, there's a lot more to consider than just the money. I saw different NFL players saying, "Hey, you need to take the money because this, that, and the other." And I understand that aspect of it. And I just think you got to look at the full picture. And I think his dad is looking at the full picture. And I don't think he's putting, hey, your degree is going to get you 8 million. I don't think that's what he's looking at. But I think he's saying we're in a good, stable
In a good
situation
stable situation.
and
Yeah.
things are working out for you. So do you really want to go through all that? I mean, and depending on what he's getting paid now, that's the main thing. If you're already getting 6 million. Another 2 million would be nice, but is another 2 million worth you going to Ole Miss? Is another 2 million worth you going to Illinois or going to Indiana? I mean, we don't know what schools they were. Is 8 million worth you going to Temple? So I think it's also you got to look at his future as far as this draft because I saw he was predicted if he stays healthy and stays on this trajectory as a first round pick in 2020 in the 26th draft. So there's that. So do you want to really mess with that by going somewhere else? So I can see both sides of going and not going, but
And a lot of people fight with this in their regular work day, at their regular careers. And you break up a valid point. The monetary value might be more, but the value of leaving might be risky because a lot of people are offered more money to Alvin Harper themselves and go leave for companies that aren't going to get you anywhere in the future, or the company be
right.
debunked. bankrupt. And that's the only thing that it can offer you is money. In that regard. So you got to be very careful before you find yourself the MVP of the moment, and then go play for the Raiders. Prime got you a MVP. Now, speaking of which, a lot of people, because I do believe that this is a situation going on, and I'm just going to open by saying I think it is her skill set, but it's Caitlin Clark, and I'm bringing this up because I believe she's carrying the WNBA. But it's Caitlin Clark being recognized for her skill set or her skin color. And a lot of people are going to hear me say the word skin color, and me being African American, think that I'm totally against the marketability of skin color in sports, and I'm not against it at all. I just don't like it to be abused in American culture, and I don't like it to be abused on social media. But I think we need Cooper Flag in the NBA just as much as we need Larry Bird and Caitlin Clark. And I do believe skin color is in itself is a balance for marketability. But I do believe because they have a lot of Caucasian American white girls. Dang, I said Caucasian American white girl. Caucasian American. I wanted to say white girl. Dang it. That's just what I want.
I was just gonna let it slide. I was like, no,
So I
well,
just want to say white girl.
he did double negative. I'm just let it slide.
And I'm trying to be politically correct, but there are a lot of white women that can ball. So I believe it's not just her skill set and her skin color. I believe it was also her demographic being from Mid-America too that helped. She still is a more relatable white girl than a lot of white girls. Her, and I'm not going to say she's not a looker, but there are a lot of people who just like her look. She's not going to be promoted in the Halston and in the Vogue area. There's a market, a large market out there like that. I want to present my daughter with, hey, you can make it too because the struggle is real. So I believe it's a little bit more than I think her whole dynamic. And then and going with what she did in college by doing the Steph Curry stuff, it just kind of like it makes it a little bit different than Paige Booker. And let's be real, she's heterosexual. That helps. Sorry, it helps. So be mindful of all these things because the eyes in the sky are on her because of all those things. And I don't like how the basketball, like the people who like her as fans, y'all getting too mixed up in the basketball of it too. Like I love Michael Jordan. He was getting punched around by the Celtics, Lakers, Philadelphia, and Detroit. Milwaukee, they were punching my boy around. I didn't cry about it because I understood that was basketball. You know what I'm saying? So I think y'all be getting a little bit too beside y'allself on the little hard foul she does. Like that's the basketball of it. And y'all don't understand sport. Y'all look at it as black and white. Nah, that's just everybody. Y'all gotta stop.
Yes.
So
And the WNBA they play more physical basketball than they do in the NBA.
It's still a game.
Yeah, they get in there and they bang.
Yeah, they still bang.
I think that she gets. I think there's some people who get caught up in her skin color as opposed to her ability on the court. But I haven't heard a single person who is into basketball and knows what they're talking about who has said anything negative about her game. They say she can play. She can just play. And that comes from different nationalities, different races. They've all said she can play. She might be getting some of the hype might come because of her skin color, but they all say she can flat out play. And she is carrying the WNBA right now. I mean, Asia Wilson's got 3 championships. She's got multiple MVPs, but she doesn't move the needle outside of the core audience. She's not. But Caitlin came in with a lot and she's living up to it. And the thing about it is, rising tide raises all ships. They're selling out fever games, not just at home, but on the road. Because people want to come and see Caitlin. Some people want to, They had to do it in Vegas last year because instead of 8,000 coming to the game, it was 20,000. I think it's good for the game. It's good for the game. And I'll just be honest. I didn't know the fever existed before I found out before Caitlin Clark got drafted to him. I didn't know that there was a team.
And stop being mad at that. Like when the Olympics come, to LA, it doesn't even have to go over the world, but world people are going to be in LA.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping she can have some help by 2028. But let's be real. If she's still the star that she is compared to everybody else, you're going to get mad at the people of the world for treating her like Jordan was in Barcelona when he went over there like a rock star. Are you going to be mad at that? You can't. It's the gravitation. Sorry. You want the camera? Stop acting like the cameras haven't been on Angel and Asia and all those other players. We put the cameras on them. It didn't do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean,
same thing.
If she can play, she can play, and obviously she can play and play very well. Skin color shouldn't matter for people who are into basketball. There are people who got other objectives or whatnot, other perspective. But as far as her being out there on the court playing, and she, to her credit, you haven't heard her griping or complaining or anything.
Exactly.
And truthfully, I think all she wants to do is just go out there and play and try to win the championship. I don't think she's concerned with any of the other stuff. And I like the fact from early this week that I saw her teammates coming to her defense when all of that was going on. No, she's not out there like Willie Beeman. Let them learn. No, they're coming to her defense, and that's her teammate. But I think it's good for the game, and it's good for the WNBA as a whole that you've got somebody who is polarizing for whatever reason, but ultimately can play. And you've got people coming to see the team, and see those games because the league needs to get out of operating in the negative and get into start generating some real revenue.
And it's not like I think the WNBA is doing exactly what it's going to do anyway. Because I was looking at I was looking at a male-owned bakery company compared to a female-owned bakery company, and the numbers, the gap just different. Bakery. Bakery. I was looking at a male-owned, two male-owned, because the top is male-owned, and I hope I don't get clobbered for this, but I'm just keeping it real with the data. Fashion and makeup lines compared to female, the gap is like crazy. So I think the WNBA operating in the negative still comes down to there's some level of efficiency that just men just generate. And it's probably something internal. It's probably something fire. It's probably something in our leadership skill set where something in their leadership skill set is a little bit more nurturing, and it doesn't bring about it. I don't know. I'm just speaking hypothetically. But numerically, and data shows that the WNBA, being a women's sport, it's just gonna operate in that manner. Like Serena was all she was. She still won men's tennis. If Andy Roddick would have been making a run like that, her name would have been drowned in the sauce. It's just like a white. That's just women's soccer could win till they blue in the face. But let the American men's soccer team
you're going to hear more about it.
It's so you're going to have to literally make a 10-year push, not one, a 10-year commitment to really focusing in on women's basketball. Because you're gonna have to regenerate the revenue. You're gonna have to regenerate how we talk about it in our podcast and our media platforms in order to regenerate the way the private sector and the percentages of endorsements that they put in our face on it. It's just what it is. You're going to be operating in that negative until, we go back to the 1940s or something and men go to war. Now, and you have to stop all sports or something like that. Now, I will say this, going back to Caitlin Clark. Stop treating that girl like she's the Australian breakdancer. That's
exactly.
That's getting the run and actually can't do it. That girl actually can play ball. Gravitate around that first and focus on that first, and then maybe you'll have an opportunity or allow yourselves to get outside of all that other thinking. Now, I want to get into this because we're talking about impact. And this might be a hit refresh moment, so I'm gonna hit the refresh button.
Ding.
Who's the greatest athlete ever? All sports. Because that was something that came up about which sport produces the best athletes. I believe the perception is, and I'm going to segue into what I'm getting into. I believe the perception is an athlete is I can go play your sport, you can go play my sport, we can go play any sport, and my sport and my athleticism translates better than your sport. You know, Michael Phelps would not play a better volleyball game than Wilt Chamberlain, one-on-one. And I'm not saying he would have won. I don't know who would. I'm just saying, because Michael Phelps might be a hell of a beach volleyball player. I'm just saying that's what the perspective is. And Ed Too Tall Jones might beat both of them. I don't know. But impactfully, because a lot of times we give the guys who have this impact a little bit more hyperbole sport-wise. So Bo Jackson, arguably, the only one who might make me say, and give him that point is primetime Deion Sanders. But Bo Jackson is arguably one of the greatest athletes. And I don't want nobody bringing up no Jim Thorpe. You didn't even see him. Shut up.
I knew you were gonna mention Thorpe because that was going through my head. I said somebody gonna say
Oh, you didn't
Jim
even.
Thorpe.
You ain't that man. You saw a picture. Chill out. But anyway, who would you compare in music Bo Jackson to? Hip hop, rock and roll, whatever you want.
And by comparing, we're talking about having an impact in more than just one art form.
Absolutely.
So you're gonna talk about being able to rap. You're gonna talk about writing.
You're gonna use rap.
You're gonna talk about acting, because you got that. Because we talk about more than one. You're talking possibly. I think Tupac probably fits, and I think both of them, Bo and Tupac, are probably and arguably the greatest what ifs in each of their arenas.
Okay.
By ifs, I mean people speculate and people romanticize Bo and they romanticize Tupac. You've heard Tupac be called the greatest rapper ever. You heard people say Tupac would have been a revolutionary. He would have been leading the movement if he hadn't been snuffed out. We know, me personally, I think he was a better actor than he was rapper. But that's just me.
A lot of people believe his hip hop career was him also being. Go ahead.
Being an actor, yeah. Because people talk about all the things Tupac would have done and could have done, and he still lived. Oh, rap wouldn't be the way it is now. Hip hop would be different. People would be more unified. They say all of that. If Bo hadn't hadn't had the hip injury, he would have been the greatest back to ever play. I mean, you look at his size, you look at his strength, you look at his speed, you look at what he did. And Bo's body of work is not even a full season. Bo had less than 3,000 yards rushing. He played 4 years, but he had less than 3,000 yards rushing.
All your food delivery needs, make sure you go to Light Snack. That's LYTE snack.com. And make sure for all your deliveries, whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, you visit Light Snack and they'll deliver it right to your door. And make sure when you get those deliveries, make sure you're ordering those Magic City wings. And remember, their motto, don't forget to lick the sauce.
And only had a total of 18 touchdowns played in his career. And we know he didn't play a full season, but we've seen the impact that he made, and that's why he's still talked about to this day. There are people who would tell you, if you played the original Tecmo Bowl, they would tell you that one play that Bo Jackson had was true. Bo really and truly could have done all of that.
Right.
People will argue with you.
Right. Yeah.
People argue with you that Tupac had maybe like a 4-year run when he was really maybe a 4-year run, 3-year run.
Yeah,
he was really out there.
90 because he died in 96.
92. So he had a short run as well. But the impact that he made in those 4 years is still echoed and talked about today. The same with Bo. People still will bring up Bo when you talk about could have been the best to ever do it. Tupac has more music, so he's had 8 albums released total. I think 6 of them were posthumously. So he has a little more of a body of work than Bo, but Bo also played baseball. I think those are two people in 2 completely different avenues who whose career, one literally died, the other's career was killed because of injury, both in baseball and football, who people say, man, what if? What if they had been able to live or been able to fulfill their potential? I think those two probably to the top. There are other people who also have great what if stories, and there are teams that have great what ifs. But I think those two are always brought up because everything you hear about Bo is man if, man what if, man just look at the highlight, man what if. Tupac, man, I'm telling you, he would have done this, he would have done that if he hadn't gotten murdered. So I think those two are probably the best equivalent for two completely different genres. And you think about it, rappers, for whatever reason, rappers do want to be athletes.
And athletes want to.
Athletes want to be rappers.
Y'all don't want to be street dude.
Yeah. They all want to be. So I think those two, for me, parallel each other because really they gotta. I don't really because I guess I'm looking at just Tupac, what he put out while he was alive, not the posthumous albums that came out, because I think we put out posthumous music, it kind of muddies the waters a little bit. For some, it's bought because, hey, I'm just a fan, or because, man, I just want to hear it, but not necessarily feeling it. You just do it, but you buy it out of curiosity, not because, man, I'm a diehard fan, so I'm gonna get it. When's the last time you heard anybody bumping a whole lot of Tupac stuff that didn't make it to mainstream or wasn't played on the air, wasn't played on the radio? Because there's only a couple of songs that he's got out that unless you listen to Sirius Satellite, that you will hear on the radio with any kind of regularity. You hear How Do You Want It? You hear California Love. You hear Brenda's Got a Baby and Dear Mom. Right. Most of his other stuff you don't hear.
Changes might make the radio.
Yeah. So it's like 5 that you would hear on terrestrial radio with any kind of regularity. But when you talk about hip hop, when you talk about rappers, his name always comes up. And I'm one of those people who believes that, and I'm using Bo in the same aspect, not because his career was ended. His career was ended, so in essence, it was snuffed out, it was killed. But people become greater. People who were average become good. People who were good become great, and people who were great become immortal when whatever it is they were doing is ended prematurely. Both of their careers ended prematurely. That's why I think both of them are held in such high esteem. Not that they weren't good or very good at what they did, but because of there was so much meat left on the bone, they are looked at as having, perhaps being better or greater than what they were, because we don't know. We just don't know. It's one of those mysteries that we'll never have the answer to. It's a what if this and what if that, as opposed to the legacy having been fulfilled and having been lived out.
I'm gonna stick with your theme, but I got a few of them as you were speaking. That's why I was cool. Mm-hmm. I was just bringing it in my mind, and I'm not going to elaborate. I'm just going to say a few things. Mm-hmm. I'm going to the Bo and Tupac area. I can roll with that. I can roll with that. There's an area of that could definitely hold Biggie in there too, on the same concept of taking too early, did a lot. But I'm going to use Terrell Davis and DMX, because Terrell Davis could arguably be the greatest running back ever if he would have continued to do and amass the numbers he was amassing. Just like he came into the game on go and did everything you needed to do. 2 Super Bowls, 2,000 yards. DMX came into the game, and from the first album to the second album, went double platinum between 2 albums. And then his success was so great, he was still there, but he kind of drifted. I'm going to go Ice Cube and Herschel Walker. Mm-hmm. Herschel Walker is arguably one of the greatest athletes ever. His name really should be in there with Prime and Bo. But because he's right before them and in that era, his name gets lost in the sauce. And then in the later years, his political ideology has made a lot of people turn away from him. And prior to that, he was on his way to play. He was at Georgia and had an issue and went totally left field to go to the USL. And the NFL didn't give him his props when he came back, right? So
Right.
Ice Cube arguably gets lost in the sauce in everyone's top 5 because of Tupac, Biggie, Snoop. People tend to forget what Cube was, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And he leaves, makes a name for himself anyway on the East Coast, kind of like USFL. He comes back to the West Coast and has a run. And I'm not going to say he didn't really leave the West Coast, but he was just using East Coast producers, to get his name. He kind of got away from draining the guy's protection. Made a run, and then as of late, didn't necessarily say he was on the other side with the Republicans or anything, but it just hey, he wasn't with the Democrats. And he was kind of like, hey, we need to kind of let the people see what the Democrats say they're going to do, because they've been doing this for years. And a lot of people didn't take that too well, and they diminish Cube for that. And Cube also becoming an actor is the equivalent to Herschel Walker's years trying all that boxing and all that MMA, all that different stuff that Herschel was doing prior to. So, he showed the different dynamics in that.
Cube is an interesting person to bring up for that.
Yeah, Cube. I got Cube as Herschel because, like I said, people forget. People forget Cube. Like, they forget Herschel. Herschel was a bad man. Herschel has a mythical story about someone was trapped in their car, and the car was on fire or something like that. He ripped the door off. Yeah, that's that country strength, and you give that country strength to Bo and the Minister of Defense.
Oh, Reggie White.
You give them the moniker, but Herschel had it too. So he get lost in the sauce in that. I had one for, I'm gonna go Russell Westbrook and Method Man, because Russell Westbrook was a part of a team, and that team was phenomenal together. Just like Method Man was phenomenal with Wu-Tang. But his presence was just so much till Method Man had to be METHOD man, just like Russell Westbrook had to be Russell Westbrook. So he got out of it and started getting all these triple doubles and MVPs, like just like Method Man could do. Method Man, I'm gonna break out of here and I can go make an appearance on anybody's little whatever. Anybody can play with me and I'm gonna thrive. So I got Russell Westbrook and Method Man. And these are quick. I probably not real thought out, but I got Russell Westbrook and Method Man in there. I kind of wanted to do some football, but this one might be kind of funny.
Okay.
But it's the truth. LeBron James and Bow Wow.
All right, you got to tie those two together, because even though I will admit, Bow Wow is underrated.
Absolutely.
For things they done, because of all this other little stuff, and because he's short. But a lot of people don't realize those Scream tours would not have been the Scream tours if Bow Wow wasn't on them.
And let's not forget why I say LeBron James and Bow Wow. Well, the initial reason. You're literally a prodigy as a child. Daz Dillinger, your mother says, can you rap? And Daz Dillinger says, yes, I can rap. And Daz Dillinger in Cleveland said, rap for me. You rap 2 or 3 bars and said, I can't do nothing with you. Let me bring you to Snoop and Dre. Snoop and Dre, I like the little kid. They still on they come up. It's a gimmick.
Yeah.
I could play with some Lil Wayne in here a little bit too, but I'm gonna stick with Bow Wow. I could play with some Lil Wayne, but I'm gonna stick with Bow Wow. I then take you to the West Coast, and you have all of these opportunities to be a thug kid because your name is Lil Baby Gangster or whatever it was. Until Snoop says, no, I'm Big Bow Wow, you Lil Bow Wow. I'm gonna change the direction of your name. Then your mother says, your single mother says, this ain't the environment for you at Death Row.
Right. Yeah. By the way, have you ever heard those songs that they had Bow Wow doing?
Yeah, I heard 2 of them.
Yeah, Mama did the right thing.
Mama did the right thing. And she Corrupt wrote him one like, this kid can't say this. Like Corrupt even said, it's cute, but it ain't. But this is the way we write. So I'm gonna take you over here to Jermaine Dupri, who understands these kids. Shout out to
Chris Cross.
I'm gonna throw you on Sports Illustrated. I'm gonna put you on ESPN. I'm gonna put you on everything. You are the next coming. Everybody's sending you the shoes. We know there's a lot of things that happened to LeBron illegally that we don't know, but they're protecting it. You know, and your mother had to filter through all of that, and now you still become, just like you said with those screen tours, just like that Rookie of the Year. Shout out to Carmelo Anthony. You know, but for the most part, you still ascend to become that dude. You know, you ascend to become that dude. And I'm not finna sit up here and say Bow Wow is the greatest rapper ever or anything like that. But Bow Wow definitely hit a lot of the boxes.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna laugh at it because of Bow Wow, but if you have a criteria, money, franchises, acting, awards, taking over a TV show, he check off a lot of Bow Wow check off a lot of boxes considerably.
Yeah, he became Mr. 106 in Park.
He became Mr. 106 in Park, and he did so much from a young age to so long till guess what? You diminish respect for him. The same way a lot of people do LeBron. So that's why I say Bow Wow and LeBron on that same level where it pertains to me. I gotta get, you know, it's just, yeah, that's the truth. You got any more?
I can see those two. As far as paralleling those two, I would say probably, I think Ali and LL.
Ali and LL. Ali?
Muhammad Ali was loved for a minute, got banished. You know, the government took away his ability to box, and he was reviled. People didn't think that people thought he was anti-American, but us as a culture, we respected and loved him. Then he came back, won the belt at an older age, when it could have been and should have been his prime. He wasn't allowed to fight, but he came back and he became revered by some of everybody and regarded as the greatest. And he named himself that, but he named himself the greatest back in the 60s. It took to the 80s, it took to the late 70s before people started saying, wait a minute, maybe he actually is the greatest. And we know about his impact on humanity and his impact politically as well. Now, when I say LL also walked the fine line. LL was the first rapper that actually appealed to both sexes. Was hard, but he wasn't gangster. You know what I mean? You didn't look at him and think,
and came up around gangsters.
Yeah, but you didn't look at LL and say, oh, man, I don't know if I want to run in him in an alley or not, or he look like he might steal from me. But at the same time, the ladies loved him, hence the name LL. And he went through a time when he was on top. And remember, he fell off for a minute because the scene was changing. People were going more towards hardcore gangster rap. LL was considered soft. And hey, man, we don't think he's really writing his own stuff. We don't think he's this, that, and the other. And when he came back with Mama Said Knock You Out, now he's back. Because before that, he had his battle with Kool Mo D, and depending on who you talk to, he won or he lost. But you remember for a while, Walking with the Panther, and I think he had a couple more albums didn't do so well. He fell off, and he should have been riding high at the time. It wasn't until he came back out with Mama Said Knock You Out that people said, okay, he's back. We can deal with, okay, yeah, he is the man. He is who he says is. And he actually came up with the term GOAT and named himself the greatest of all time. Before GOAT before the acronym GOAT was out, everyone was using it. LL is the one who actually coined it. He should have trademarked it. That's what he should have done.
He should have did. He should have trademarked.
And he expanded himself into movies.
Ali said greatest. Ali ain't never said I'm the greatest of all time. Go. Yeah, you right.
Yeah, LL expanded his field when it got into acting. He was okay for him. But you remember the first time, and I saw this the other night, I was watching, on Crush Groove. He came in, he was a goofy, dinky little kid. Didn't have nothing. His only line was 17. Box. Yeah. His only line was box. And then he did radio. And then he walked out like this. It's like, that was one take.
Yeah.
That was one take. They didn't even say, hey, we're going to do it again. You've seen how he's expanded into acting. And is he a great actor? No. But he's good enough to keep getting cast and to keep a part. He was on NCIS for forever. He's done so much acting that people of a certain age don't even know that LL was a rapper. Wait, what you mean he rapped?
Yeah.
The same Will Smith. I mean, what you mean Will used to rap? He got a Grammy for what? But then you play him stuff with. I think I got LL and Ali because they both had the bravado. And it worked for them. Then it worked against them because of the way they were. Then it started back working for them again, and they expanded what it is they did.
Absolutely. And I got one last two, and I'm not gonna hold this show up because we about to close in a minute. Okay, you can cross-reference these however you like, and a lot of people might put two of these together because they hung together. But I'm gonna cross-reference it, right? I'm gonna go Prime Time and Master P because of the way Prime, like both the innovation, I need to do something in this smaller area and take something out. That's the same thing Master P had, bringing things back to Calio and then opening up Louisiana. It's the same thing Prime did by going back to the HBCU coaching, and he opened up a generation of jokers who want to now go back into coaching from the superstardom ranks. Same thing he did by opening up the door to what is known as the shutdown corner. I think innovation is why I put Prime with Master P. And I'm not going to elaborate on that, but I'm just going to say that's why I do that. And the way he put the family on, like everybody.
Yeah.
Put it on.
Everybody eats.
Everybody eats. Now this guy, everybody eats too. But I don't know if this guy did it, everybody eats. But it was the phenomenal way he came in, and he was the first one out of nowhere to change. Because I don't think this guy gets a lot of credit for what he did in the NFL, and because from an offensive standpoint, because that image was there for him to do that. Aside from OJ, but OJ still another image. I'm gonna go Eric Dickerson and MC Hammer, and Eric was like, my greatest football player would be somebody that's a cross between Prime and Eric Dickerson.
Okay.
You know, somebody that got a style like Prime and Eric Dickerson, and the reason I to MC Hammer because Eric came out with that curl, and we even said, "Boy, what you gonna rush for with the curl?" Like we even didn't let Earl, just like we did Hammer with that dance. We looked at it like, I still like it, but I like it.
Yeah.
Came out with the goggles on. Prime came out with the gazelles on.
Eric had the elbow pass, the neck brace.
Like he just was doing. Eric was. Hold up.
The face mask.
Mask, and then go out there and run for 2,000. High, tall running back. That was unheard of. So Eric and MC Hammer got this thing.
Stylistically,
Stylistically, I'm going to, and of course, I'm going to end all be all Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson. Nothing else needs to be said. Nothing else needs to be said on that. Who's the baddest Michael?
Yeah, those. When you say MJ, it's those two, and that's it.
That's it. But at any rate, it's been a wonderful show. Great things that we said today, and again, I hope you all have engaged with us and joined us, and I hope you all again subscribe, comment, share, like. Thank you all for being with us. We're going to post this right before the finals come on. You got any predictions on the game? The game 7?
I can't say Lakers in 5, so I'll say Thunder in 7.
Thunder in 7. Okay, Thunder in 7. It's so crazy. This is what I like about sports. I like watching games of teams I'm not vested in.
Mm-hmm.
Underdog has my heart. Like he's like, I'm not mad if y'all do win. And the knob of rooting for them turns a little bit to where, just like Gilbert Arenas, you want to be taking off each jersey and having on another one because you just don't know. Mm-hmm. But I want to see the young man get the total. I want him to see him sweep all the awards and get a championship to go with it in SGA. So I'm gonna go OKC too. With that, because I want him to get the scoring title, the MVP, the Western Conference MVP, Finals MVP, and the championship. I want to see, because we need somebody else to gravitate towards.
Yeah.
As far as the argument is concerned, we need that. A great team, a great win, an upset, always a great story. I'm not against that. If Indiana wins, I'm not against that. But I think I'm more OKC Thunder because of that aspect in that regard. But As I was stating before, please join us on Instagram at noj.a.s.s. YouTube, No Jazz Show. Like, comment, subscribe, share, please. Facebook, No Jazz Show. As a group, you'll see me posting it on my wall too. I know you all are getting tired of it, but it's phenomenal the way you all have been engaging, and I do appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. TikTok, of course, No Jazz Show, and Twitter at No Jazz Show. Any last words, Tank?
I've got a problem with that. Not that she's listening, but the fact that she's going to say she's going to listen to see if he knows what he's talking about. Okay, if you want to know if the coach knows what he's talking about and what he's doing, that means you need to learn all the terminology that they use. You need to study personnel packages. You need to go over game film each week so that you know what the game plan is, what they're attacking, how they're attacking it, why they're doing certain things, know what the audibles are, know what the personnel packages are on both offense and defense, not just for your team, but for the other team. You need to be, in essence, to become a de facto offensive coach, offensive coordinator, and defensive coordinator so that you will know what he called, why he called it, why it worked, why it didn't work, why didn't he call this, or what this terminology means in this particular week. Because some terminology might change from week to week depending on who you're playing or what packages you're using. So I don't think that just sitting there listening, she's going to be able to say, oh, he knows what he's doing or he's not. So I think that's short-sighted of her, and it's really telling us that, I mean, if that's the case, why don't you just coach the team if you think that you know that much? That just rubbed me the wrong way for someone who, and I'm not saying she doesn't know football, but she's not in there the way he is, putting everything together and getting this team together, getting them ready to play. So I had a problem with that. She's the owner. She can do what she wants to, but even Jerry Jones doesn't get the thing on his sideline. Doesn't listen in and say, hey, why didn't you call this instead of that? So yeah, I just think it was wrong with her. If she's gonna do it, fine, but I don't think she needs to be out telling her, hey, this is why I'm doing it.
Shout out to what's her name, Eileen Davis.
Yeah.
Cause I don't even think that's her real name. That was just me joking that Al Davis used to be trying to
Whatever her name is, yeah.
Yeah, but I think just like any other woman, once she gets involved in the ideology and all those things start getting to it's gonna just get to her too much, and she gonna eventually take the headphones off. She gonna get, as an owner, there's a whole lot of handshaking and things you need to do from an ownership standpoint that she's gonna be engaged in, that's probably just gonna have her, oh yeah, that's right, I gotta put on these headphones, and me personally, I'm gonna be honest with you, me personally, I would record 4 quarters or put together 4 quarters of games from whatever year and have that feed going in her headphones while I do my job. I would just have her listening to whatever. At any rate, this has been No Jazz. It's not just another sports show. Hey, if you can stop giggling for a little while and salute these people. All right, later on. Thank you.
Peace.
You just watched another episode of No Jazz. Follow us on YouTube at No Jazz Show. And make sure you hit us up on Twitter at No Jazz Show. Make sure you hit us up on Instagram at noj.a.s.s. Follow us on Facebook on our Facebook page at No Jazz Show. All right? See you soon.